I am flying solo. Nick is still in Cincinnati fighting Bengal Cats. Dan had to work this morning, so I will be here to answer all of your fantasy football questions, which means my advice won't be tainted by the opinions of those two. Welcome to the first real Bipocalypse week, though, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Some early breaking news this morning. Geronimo Allison, Royce Freeman, Stephon Diggs, Kenny Stills are all likely out. In for this week, Melvin Gordon's expected good to go. Alex Collins with his foot. Cooper Kupp with his knee. Darius Slay and Xavier Howard, defensive players, not because we're turning IDP here, but because that is going to be big news for Laquan Treadwell, if you're looking at him as a potential Diggs replacement. And then Xavier Howard, if Robbie Anderson or Quincy Enunwa decides to go. The last I saw on Kenny Stills is that he's out for week 9. I'm looking at Roto World right now, Alex. So the groin for Kenny Stills is going to hold him out for another week. That's as of approximately 25 minutes ago. Other than that, some game time decisions. Chris Carson, they're going to test him before the game, but they're feeling optimistic about that. Rob Gronkowski had his back flare up, so he may not go, and there's no guarantee that Sony Michel plays. On a non-injury related note, it does look like Demaryius Thomas is going to be starting versus the Broncos with a new wide receiver coming into an offense. It seems a little fast for Demaryius Thomas to see a full complement. Check that real quick. So, Sun Centennial is now saying Kenny Stills reportedly will play. Haven't seen anything through Roto World or Sleeper Bot yet, so it sounds like maybe still some iffiness. Not sure there. Even if he does play, Stills hasn't exactly been an effective or a reliable fantasy option. The only thing that really does is ding Devontae Parker. The other thing to note from that Dolphins game, though, as long as we're on the topic, is apparently the field is in really terrible shape. After Miami and Duke yesterday, there was some rain going on, so we're thinking that probably not going to be as good for the running backs as we thought it might be. And really offenses in general, that turf can jump up and cause some issues there. So that's all I really got on late breaking news. So we're ready to take questions, and by we I mean I, until the inactives start showing up. So go ahead and ask them if you got them. All right, Alex, pick 2 in PPR. Chubb, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson. Nick Chubb, and I would probably say Aaron Jones in this one. As far as Kerryon Johnson goes, I just don't love the matchup. I know that he's gotten volume over the last few weeks, but the Vikings are tough. So I like Aaron Jones against the Patriots more, especially without any Ty Montgomery in town. I don't know why that name was eluded me for a minute. And then Chubb against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have not been a fantastic defense all year, not fantastic against the run. So Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson there for me. It's really weird not having Nick and Dan here because it's really hard for me to do filler time. I can't really talk to myself, so I miss them. And if you are going through your lineups this morning, I guess we can do this. If you're going through your lineups this morning, looking for some bye week replacements, some bye week fill-ins, or some guys that you were counting on that are, be hurt, not going, you're having some second thoughts about some matchups this week. Some guys that may be on waivers still that I'm punching in. Cortland Sutton. There we go. Crunchy Taco. Godwin or Marquez Valdez-Scantling in standard. I'm going to go with MVS in that one. Geronimo Allison is not expected to play, and Valdez-Scantling should see an increased role. He was very good last week. And, personally, I picked him up to start in a couple leagues. He was a name I was actually just about to throw out there. If you're looking for a bye week fill-in, I do love MVS this week. Some other guys that I like as potential bye week fill-ins at wide receiver be Mike Williams, the guy for the Chargers who tends to do well when they're in negative game scripts, and I think that this game for the Chargers could potentially be a negative game script, as in they're playing from behind. Trey, full PPR, choose 2. Doug Baldwin, Marvin Jones Jr., Josh Gordon, or Jordan Howard. So in full PPR, probably going to go Marvin Jones and Josh Gordon in that front. I think that Gordon is going to see some decent volume against the Packers, especially if Sony Michel and Rob Gronkowski are unable to go, which there's some questions around that. And Doug Baldwin, I just don't really trust that. Now, Jordan Howard, I do think game script's going to play in his favor, but the Bills are pretty stout against the run. I don't think the Bears are going to have to throw a ton in this one, though, with their defense up against Nate Peterman. I don't think that game's going to be particularly close. So it's Marvin Jones, Josh Gordon for me. Standard flex, John Brown, Courtland Sutton, or Nick Chubb. That's going to be Nick Chubb for me as well. I like John Brown. I just can't necessarily trust the volume, and the Steelers have gotten better against the pass as the season's gone on. We kind of covered that a bit on Wednesday. And then Courtland Sutton being a rookie, I do love Courtland Sutton. I actually had to start him in a couple places, but I think that Nick Chubb's definitely the safer option and has the better matchup. As far as MVS, that's not a bad option either. For Trey, this goes back to the Doug Baldwin, Marvin Jones, Josh Gordon, Jordan Howard question. I don't know that I necessarily like him more than Josh Gordon or Marvin Jones, though. So, I mean, you definitely should probably pick up MVS if you can afford him on your bench, because I think he is overtaking Allison for that third wide receiver role, but I don't know that I would start him over Gordon or Jones this week. What's up, Colton? Kerryon or Jordan Howard in PPR? Probably going to be Kerryon Johnson in that one. They both have somewhat tough matchups as far as running defenses go. The Bills don't give up a ton in that regard. Kerryon Johnson at least should get some receiving work. I think that the Lions are going to end up throwing more than the Bears will have to today. And no problem, Trey and Michael. Always happy to help out where I can. Jets or Carolina DFT. If I lose, I have to sing Barbie Girl in my wife's aerobic class. Either way, I want video of that if it happens. I'm going to say Jets in that one against the Dolphins on bad field positions, or bad field conditions. Carolina's defense has been a lot better this year than they were last year, but the Buccaneers are a very, very stout offense with some firepower behind them. So I definitely want to go with the Jets in that case at the risk of having to sing Barbie Girl. I'm not going to bet against Fitzmagic and the Bucs with the weapons that he has. And I'll make a deal with you, Colton, though. If I end up being wrong on that and you lose because of the defense, I will also sing Barbie Girl on Monday's show. So you'll have to let me know how that plays out. And I'll make Dan join me. Some more breaking news, as Alex pointed out. Looks like Roto World was a bit behind, so thank you, Alex. Kenny Stills is expected to be active. It's a slight ding to Parker. I don't know how good it's going to be, but Stills I'm not going to start. I'd still lean Parker if I'm picking a wide receiver there. I don't know with the groin, with it being that close, how effective he's going to be, but it is a slight ding to Parker, which Stills is going. So thank you, Alex, for the updated Miami article on that from beat writers. They tend to be a bit ahead. Michael, would you keep Giovanni Bernard on bench or drop to stash DST versus Bills following week? I would drop him to stash at DST the following week. Gio Bernard, even back healthy, it's Mixon's backfield, so MFL app has been the fastest this year. Yeah, I probably should go grab the MFL app. I've had so many issues with it. I didn't download it when I replaced my phone, but probably not a bad idea. Lost last week, by the way, because of Gurley's touchdown sadness. should I drop? Nah, unfortunately, that was a good football play, but a bad fantasy play. It was bad for bettors. It was bad for anybody that wasn't a Rams fan. It was a great football move. He was being praised for it, but man, that screwed over a lot of people, not just in fantasy. That cost the spread and I believe the over-under also to not hit. Yeah, Barry definitely can be annoying. Djax or John Brown this week, full PPR. I'm gonna say go with John Brown. I tend to like John Brown a bit more than Crabtree this week. I think they will kind of have to throw against that because that Steelers offense is good, even though Steelers on the road. Deshaun Jackson, I just don't trust the volume, even though he could always break off one big. Carolina's been relatively good against the pass. Can I start Gordon alongside Edelman? That's the only potential caveat. You can, but I tend to try to steer away from starting two wide receivers on the same team if I have other options, just because I don't want to get screwed over if, Brady has a bad day or for some reason that game doesn't go the way that I think it will. I try to steer away from two wide receivers on the same team for that reason. I don't want one thing not going the way I thought it would, screwing over two of my wide receiver positions. Dak Prescott or Matt Ryan? That's definitely going to be Matt Ryan for me in that one. He's got the Redskins, whose pass defense hasn't exactly been exceptional. Better weapons. Tennessee's been really good. I think their defense is very underrated. So, neither one of them necessarily have a great matchup, but so in a vacuum, Matt Ryan. Breeze in that juicy over-under or Russell Wilson? It's a tougher one. I'm going to say go Russell Wilson. That one's really close for me. My issue with Breeze is, yes, they've got the Rams at full power, which means he could very well end up throwing, but ever since Ingram got back, his volume's kind of been down, and it's kind of been a tale of two seasons for Drew Brees. They are at home. But I would tend to lean Wilson just by a hair, though. Bobby, how's it going? Full PPR. Collins, Carry-On, or Djax for his flex? Carry-On Johnson in that one. Alex Collins has had a couple down weeks. It's not a fantastic matchup for him. I don't necessarily trust what he's going to get, so go Carry-On Johnson against the Vikings. It doesn't feel great, though. Corey Davis or Baldwin in PPR. Doug Baldwin in that one for me. Chargers are just kind of middle of the road against the pass, whereas the Titans have been, the Cowboys have been decently good as against receivers. Corey Davis hasn't necessarily had the volume. I had to make that same decision earlier, Alex, and ended up going with Baldwin over Davis. Golladay or Marvin Jones and half PPR. That's a really good question. I don't think Rhodes plays, so I'm pretty sure Rhodes is not playing. I'm going to go with Kenny Golladay in that one. He's kind of outperformed Jones up until last 2 weeks or so, and I think with Golden Tate not being there, they're both really good plays. So, flip a coin really, but I would probably lean Golladay if I was in that position. See if we have any more ins outs here. Ty Montgomery is inactive for the Ravens, so just not that anybody was rushing out to start Ty Montgomery. That just takes a little bit of pressure off of Alex Collins there. Dalvin Cook is a go for the Vikings, limited though. Quincy Enunwa will be active for the Jets, first time since week 6. It'll depend on Robbie Anderson if I recommend that or not, because Xavier Howard's also playing for the Dolphins. And for Alex, which two do you like out of Gesicki, Watson, Swoop, Vanette, Taywan Taylor? Half PPR for Taylor, full for the tight ends. Gross, I know. Oh, man. Ben Watson for sure. And then I guess Taywan Taylor. I don't trust Gesicki's volume. He's kind of had the opportunity there, but he's not really been able to do a whole heck of a lot with it. So Ben Watson and Taywan Taylor, I guess. It doesn't feel great, but I think Taywan Taylor at least has a chance. And Stephon Diggs is officially out for the Vikings. That's what we were expecting. Laquan Treadwell should get the start. I don't with Slay going. I don't necessarily love Treadwell unless you're excessively desperate. Further down the list, Robbie Anderson is active for the Jets. Where's the gang? Nick is in Cincinnati with his girlfriend doing I don't actually know what. The joke has been he's hunting Bengals. So I think you might be I think you might be hanging out with Andy Dalton on the bye week, but I'm not entirely positive on that. And Dan got stuck working this morning, so they left me all by myself. Robbie Anderson, though, being active for the Jets, he should be the one that draws Xavier Howard on the outside, making a noon one not necessarily a bad play. Does kind of ding Herndon a little bit, though. Allen Robinson, not Marlon Mack. Of course, Marlon Mack's not playing the Colts are on bye. Khalil Mack. Allen Robinson, Khalil Mack out for a second straight game. I didn't love any of the Bears wide receivers this week necessarily, not because of the Bills' defense, but just because of the way I see that game playing out. And losing Mack doesn't necessarily make the Bears DST not the number one this week. Standard league flex from Joe, Marvin Jones Jr., Kenyon Drake. I'm going to go ahead and say Marvin Jones Jr. in that one. Field conditions at Hard Rock are expected to be pretty terrible, which is going to make it tough to run. Don't expect that game to be high scoring, whereas I think the Lions playing the Vikings are definitely going to have to throw a decent amount. Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Golladay should both see volume increases with the loss of Golden Tate in that offense. So I would go Jones Jr. He's also always got the chance to give you a long touchdown. So I do like him more than Kenyon Drake this week. For what it's worth, Gerald McCoy is active against the Panthers. Doesn't really ding CMC. The Bucs haven't been able to stop anything. I think that's about it for major defensive guys. What do you think of the AJ Green news means long term for the Bengals? Well, it'll depend on how long he weeks, obviously. If he's missing time, though, Tyler Boyd automatically slides into that one receiver one spot. I think he's shown enough to where he's able to do it. I would expect the tight ends to have a bigger role, them to lean on Joe Mixon a little bit more. And then John Ross may not be the worst stash as long as he's healthy in that offense, even though he hasn't really done a whole lot here. Ben Watson or Chris Herndon this week, half PPR. Still going to say go with Chris Herndon in this one. Ever since that blow-up week in week one, the Rams have not given up a ton to tight ends. And there's still the annoyance of Josh Hill there also. Herndon at least has caught a touchdown the last 4 weeks. So I'd be going with Herndon in that one. One more standard, O.J. Howard or Kyle Rudolph. O.J. Howard. It's a great matchup for Bucs tight ends. Cameron Brate, not really a giant threat for me. And, personally, Ryan Fitzpatrick, we kind of like to pitch the whole he doesn't target tight ends until he started doing that this year. So I think O.J. Howard's a really good play this week, and Rudolph is just kind of giving you some floor games. As far as Rudolph or Watson, Colton, I'm still going to lean Kyle Rudolph on that one. Just by a hair, and it's just because I know what I'm getting out of Kyle Rudolph. You're going to get your 5 to 7 targets. He's going to give you some floor and receiving yards, even if it's not necessarily pretty. He's less likely to dud you, and there is always the possibility that he catches a touchdown. I know he's been disappointing this year, but I tend to still run him out there pretty reliably. And, Ben Watson, again, it's a he could, but how much do I trust that? Not necessarily a whole lot. Capri Bibbs is playing against the Falcons. That news just came out, so he's not a bad scoop and start in that game. I expect he will see some volume, probably only in full PPR leagues is where I'd go that route, though. And Darius Slay was expected to be active. It's just been officially announced he is active. So that makes Treadwell not necessarily my favorite emergency run out. Pick him up, start him if he's up against Slay. You should not play Diggs over Kerryon Johnson or Crowell because Stephon Diggs is likely not playing today. Actually, I think he's been officially ruled out. I do like Isaiah Crowell this week, but Diggs is not going today. He's out with a hip injury. Think it's safe to play Melvin Gordon this week. I have Eckler on my bench. Yes, I do. It was announced actually yesterday that he was good to go, so I don't think it was that close as far as him not playing. Oh, there you go. Dalvin Cook, not Diggs. That makes more sense. Still, no. Cook is expected to be limited, one package of plays, maybe 10 to 20 snaps. So I'm still going to keep Johnson and Crowell in over Dalvin Cook this week. First off, I want to see how he looks. Before he got hurt, he didn't look that good running the football. He looked way above average as a receiver, but he didn't look that great as a runner. I just don't think that he's going to have enough volume this week to really do a whole lot with them kind of having him on a pitch count. So it's always possible coaches could be lying, but I do like Kerryon and Crowell a bit more in that situation. But back to Dylan, yes, absolutely Melvin Gordon this week. I'm not worried about his. Happy Sunday, Jared. Good luck. I feel like Nick Sparks was breaking promises to me, by the way. He was supposed to pop in here with some asking for friends, and I haven't seen him yet. It's a little disappointing. All right. Give it a few more minutes here for questions before I head out and try to find my new favorite sports bar in St. Louis. And just verifying again on that Dalvin Cook, it is 10 to 20 snaps. I think there was a reporter earlier that it was 20 and then it was 8 to 12. So either way, it doesn't sound good there. Flex Sutton, Chubb, Davis, or Traquan half PPR. Nick Chubb in that situation for me. I do like him against the Chiefs. Their run defense is not necessarily fantastic. So Sutton, I just kind of want to see what he does without Demaryius Thomas there first. So I'm steering away from that. Davis has a tough matchup. Traquan, I still think they try to lean on the running backs a decent amount there. I want to see his target volume go up before I start trusting that. Yes, I'm forced to start Traquan in a couple places, but I do. Nick Chubb, I think, is a plus play this week, so I'm running him out. It is official, or at least per the latest SleeperBot notification, Julian Edelman is expected to play this week, so just him and Gordon are both fine plays. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't necessarily start them together, but they're both really good plays. Alex Collins is officially active against the Steelers. Don't love him, but if you need him, go for it. Thanks, Dylan. It's actually pretty nice down here. It's just anytime you relocate, you just kind of got to find your new go-tos. So on one hand, it's exciting because I get to try new things. On the other hand, you're always set up to be disappointed a couple times before you find the one that works. So we're going to go try to find some place I can catch most of the games this week. But yeah, it's been good so far. I definitely miss being in person with Nick and Dan, but overall, pretty good. All right, guys, give me about 5 minutes. If anybody has any more questions, then we'll try to wrap this thing up. Appreciate y'all jumping in and joining this morning. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at HotBFF with 2 Ps. You can follow the show at BeerfieldFF there. My two missing in action co-hosts, Nick Sparts is at Nick Sparts, Dan Thury at ThuryBFF. You can follow the show also on Instagram, Untapped, Facebook, Beerfield FF. I'm pretty sure for all three. I don't know. I don't normally do that call out. You can catch us on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I usually try to go about 5:45. Sometimes it's 6:15. Depends on Dan's work schedule for those shows. But we're always happy to answer your questions throughout the week, either on the live streams by tweeting at us. You can help out the show. Send us beer. I know that that's happened before, so we do enjoy that. Alex has a question. Ridley Sutton, MVS, pick 2, half PPR, or Dion Lewis? MVS and Ridley in that situation for me, I believe. Hold on, let me vet that. Yeah, MVS and Ridley are the two that I'm going to trust there. It's close between Ridley and Sutton, though. I'm high on MVS this week. Lewis has a tough matchup. I had to start him in a couple spots. He should be okay for floor, but I think MVS and Ridley have some higher upside there. Got to drop Troyquan or Davis to pick a tight end this week. Unfortunately, got Ingram and Doyle on bye. I'm leaning drop Davis. What do you think? Probably drop Troyquan in that situation. Corey Davis is still going to be the highest targeted wide receiver on the Titans, and in plus matchups, I think that he's still going to be worth starting, whereas Traquan's still, I love Traquan Smith, especially in Dynasty, but he's still going to be flying behind Michael Thomas, and really the secondary wide receivers on the Saints haven't gotten a whole lot of targets this year. It's been running backs. It's been Michael Thomas, the running backs, and then I believe it was actually Ben Watson before you get to the second and third wide receivers on the Saints. So if the running game can keep being effective and the defense can continue to improve, Breeze is going to have to throw less. So I'd be more willing to give up Troyquan as much as I do like him. No problem, Alex. Other ways you can help out the show, you can buy some merch. I am rocking the hat today. I forgot which way my camera is. We do have shirts as well, so you can DM the show at BeerfieldFF to pick those up. Patreon's also out there if you just feel like donating. But, hey, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate any support we can get. Comments, you guys that tune into the YouTube streams every week and keep us busy. It's been a lot more fun this year with the more active YouTube streams and doing the live shows and being able to interact with our listeners. So I enjoy that little wrinkle that we've added to things. And if nobody's got anything else, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, thank you for tuning in. If you have any additional questions afterwards, you can tweet at me at HotBFF or the show at BeerfieldFF. Get us all three in there, though. Nick should at least be in a position to where he can respond to tweets. Good luck in Week 9. Good luck with the Bipocalypse. We will catch you guys next time. Do you guys keep doing shows all off season? Yes, Dylan, we do. I'll go ahead and answer that for you. Our schedule, during the season, we run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's up through Week 16. If you're playing fantasy football in Week 17, you're wrong. After that, we drop down to 1 a week. So we'll do 1 a week from January until March, basically, to give us a little break. And then we kick it back up to 2 a week. So we start doing our draft coverage, and we basically pull from the end of the week. So when we do 1 a week, they're Monday shows. When we do 2 a week, they're Monday, Wednesday shows. We run 2 a week from basically March through August when training camp starts, and then we go back to 3 a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we are here all year round. We just kind of change up the volume of stuff we're putting out based on how much we actually have to talk about. And that being said, we will catch you Monday. See ya.